All right, thank you for that introduction. And I was asked to talk today more from the term of privacy and some of the work that I do with the Digital Privacy Initiative. So I want to kind of frame around that, and I'll share some slides I have where I'll go through our efforts in digital privacy. Um, some of those leverage PKI, others use several different types of technology that look at privacy and the future of privacy, the requirements and the needs for moving forward, and what does that landscape look like. I will share my screen here and start kind of with the overview of the Digital Privacy Initiative. And that is a future directions initiative where we're looking at in its second year. We're looking at the needs for future technology uh, and identify privacy as one of the primary needs and areas that needed to have a community built around it of practitioners, a defining of what direction could be supported and what the IEEE's position could be. So this presentation, I'll go just kind of briefly look at what's in it, is the vision of where that digital privacy initiative is heading, some of the elements and relations for digital privacy that we've created through the last 2 years with factors influencing individuals' expectation of privacy, decisions that are made in the direction of decisions in privacy that is kind of the initiative's direction of its different components and different working groups. The overview of the life cycle, when decisions are made, and then dimensions of privacy related to technology. And that's kind of the connection with the technological piece they might see with PKI and some of the elements related to privacy. And then some disparity in what we're working to cover as we look towards the future. The Digital Privacy Initiative has had quite a bit of participation across many different areas. We identified, where our efforts and had sub-working groups in these areas shown on the screen here, where we have foundations, frameworks, and policy legislative influence, uh, efforts around conferences and some standards, as well as 3 vertical industries that we have working groups for. And each one of these working groups is then putting together different pieces. And I'll go over some of these and show you some of the outcome of the great work that's been done by some of our professionals in these working groups. We have had quite an interest from partnering OUs within IEEE, and this is a list of all our committed organizational units that are supporting the Digital Privacy Initiative. Our website, you can check out at digitalprivacy.ieee.org, and there's many resources on there. This is kind of one of the first initiatives to take a new approach with a lot of social outreach and engagement in the social media and different things that people can watch video wise, engage with in content to understand what it is that we're doing and hear the voice of several of not just individuals or an organization, but many people, kind of collages of what their impression are of digital privacy. And that really kind of leads to, our efforts are in many different areas. These are just some of the splash of what we're doing in each of the working groups, and many good things to come and many deliverables and outputs of the group. And I'll go into some of those next. The elements of digital privacy was our frameworks and foundation group, where we looked at a tiered approach. How could we divide out, because we have so many different voices coming in regarding digital privacy in different areas, and they're really concerned with what their area, what their focus area, what their focus technology, what their focus portion of is in privacy. And those were so different in the first year that we spent a lot of time just putting together what are people's main area of concern when it comes to privacy. And divided those into the first kind of three areas to just start putting the categorization and the definitions together. And those kind of three main topic areas were verified information management, uh, the second one, ethics and compliance, and the third one, education and implementation. And when we looked at what people thought of and the things that fell into the first category, the verified information management, you get your data lifecycle here on the left, which is a big component a lot of us technical or information technology people come in with, is how and what type of things are related to the management of the data products or the data within our products. And then the central piece to that would be the governance of those, the the control structures. Many times this is where our technologies around public infrastructure, PKI, might fit as well. And then on the right, the data processing, exploration, the AI, the side channel attacks and things like that that were came in and kind of fit into this category. This ethics and compliance category, a lot of people that are interested in the digital privacy do so from the legal professions, the legislative professions, the regulatory professions, and their voices came in with many of these types of areas that were their primary concern, and dividing this into its sections as well to get an understanding of how these different pieces relate. So people coming in looking for inclusion, affordability, accessibility, how does that fit into the overall conversation around digital privacy? In the third area of education and implementation, training, infrastructure, practices, and things like that, process transaction. But this model, still a work in progress, is one of the outputs of our frameworks working group, and the policy working group has looked at some other things related to these social applications. The focus of the digital privacy initiative has been around the individual, because IEEE is made up of individuals, supported and funded by individuals. We thought that our best voice was to represent the individual in the digital landscape and make this model to put together all the influences that a person sees under a individualized, privacy-centric view. And this is the expectations of privacy from a person. What are all the components that might be involved with that? And many more came in. This was the synergization of a lot of input to say, what are the general categories to get the conversation of how things are related? And then those influences, what are the overall influences, the technical, regulatory, economic, legislative, legal, and cultural, are another piece of this. And in order to put together a comprehensive model, we had to look at, what from the individual level, what are all the outside things that come into it, and then how does that put together in a digital privacy model? And this we just published within the last couple of months, and you can find this on the digital privacy website as well. There's a lot more information about it, but how does that individual centric digital privacy model and the expectation of individuals' privacy relate? And this has really gone a long way to getting the conversation of all the different voices coming in, especially the legal, the legislative, and the technical, the businesses, have a starting point to say, well, where does my interest fit into an overall picture? And then, where we're moving to now, and some of the is the largest need we found is in a review of privacy decision points. When decisions are being made on privacy, is the concern of so many people that come in with the legislative, with the technical, with the development, with even the legal profession. Everything is kind of left open to how do we make a product and then protect it? What are the requirements? What are our what do we what are our what do we owe to the individual whose data we might be storing, what are our obligations to them. Apologize for the wording there. But the decision, when decisions are made, and the decisions that are made, and this is just a splash of some of those decisions, is often such a brazed over part during the process that our effort has started to put together and collaborate list of decision points as the first area, and our future work is taking 4 areas, and this being the first, to put together an output that we would review. This being actually the second area, this is the third, is the product life cycle. Those decisions are made at some time during the product life cycle. When should they be made? When are they being made? What is the disparity there? Are often major points of contention. But mapping out the area of product life cycle and relating those to decisions. Then looking at decision makers. This, the last one should be the second area. This is the third. But who are decision makers? And this is just looking at a lot of types. The decision maker by category. The decision maker might not be a person, but it could be assigned to a category of persons. And you see, this is just a splash you can read through. But a lot of times decisions are not being made by the right decision maker, or decisions are not being made at the right point in the product life cycle, or the right decision is totally omitted from the process. And then we're finding, oh, there's a big gap come down to the product release. The fourth area, dimensions of privacy, we pulled all the IEEE OUs, and this really interfaces with the technical portion. What are the technical dimensions? And quite often these dimensions represent a polar opposite scale of, public visibility and private are opposite ends of a scale, but on the same dimension. And we know often what types of technology to implement with these. We know how to implement it, but we don't know when, who makes the decision, and what decision should be made. And pulling these 4 areas together for each of the dimensions is kind of where we're focusing now. How can we put together a model that then the technical people can say, I'm interested in this dimension. The decisions that have to be made on my dimension should happen in this part of the life cycle. The regulators say that this person should make that decision, and this person should be allowed to have decision making on who makes the decision. Oftentimes, like the user might have opt in and opt out, or the owner or the data owner might have opt in and opt out. But this relation of these 4 areas is now where we're working to consolidate so that we can kind of work on this disparity where many assumptions are made, decisions are made during development, during a unknown time in the life cycle, and the products are released with assumptions in there. Wide collection of data becomes just open aggregation of data, where a decision wasn't made to separate and isolate, and how well that should be done. And classifications on the data might have been a decision at what time. But this disparity of these things either not being decided on or being loosely just allowed to flow and ebb as the product lifecycle comes together. And oftentimes the developers came back and said, hey, we are starting product development, product design with these type of decisions being made on the product. Very minimal business use case. What do we have to do to meet compliance? But during the development and design lifecycle, they have to have all this information put together. And what ends up happening is a product is made with temporary decisions in it. And then the legal profession puts together, the lawyers put together at release time a clause that says, here's what you have to do to use our product, and you have no decision other than I use it or not, and I accept all the conditions in the product. And that's kind of what we're trying to get to, a point where we can make an impact on the industry by providing this decision making kind of triage capability at the right time by the right people, so that all the areas can be addressed. And I look at it as this kind of mixer. If we know how to set all those decisions, and we put each slide in each dimension where it needs to go, and we know at what time those decisions are made, an output of beautiful performance output can be received, and more effective use of our design process, and able to make a digital privacy by design, using, like I said, many of those tools that are in technology that we already know how to use. But how does it come together? So a lot of this effort is looking at so much of the people aspect of digital privacy and the needs around those type of coordinations. So I can open up for questions, but I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to this, and having me join this conference. And I know it might not be exactly in the technical vein that you're looking at here, but it's definitely an area that is a great social concern, a need for products. And I think that we should definitely be all considering the needs for privacy as we look through the development life cycle of our products. Thank you.